Hey guys, what's up? It's Hot Camaro here, and finally I am doing something that I've been wanting to do in a while. I am doing the top 10 movies from my childhood. Now, I should note that these movies, the following that are on the list are what made my childhood, and what I personally love and still enjoy from when I was a little kid. So without further ado, let's begin with our number 10. Frozen. Now, 2015's Frozen was an Oscar hit. It won Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song. I, of course, remember everyone singing Let It Go and all the girls at Toys R Us wanting to get the new Elsa doll. But the problem with it and why it's at number 10 is because it's kind of dated, and the song Let It Go has gotten old and is now only being used for memes and other type of stuff. But, however, it still remains a classic in my opinion, and the twist at the end is still really good. Number 9. Madagascar 3. Now, Madagascar 3 basically outdid the original, and the reason why it's not up higher is, well, it's sort of kind of dated, but it's still remains to be a classic and one of the best DreamWorks movies I've ever seen. I mean, I loved Madagascar when I was a kid, and that song Move It, Move It is obviously a real classic. But, yeah, I mean, it's fun in some areas, but, yeah, but I would recommend it to all of you guys, even to your kid. Number 8. Shrek. Now, Shrek is easily a parody of the whole fairy tale concept. I mean, it's basically one of those movies that, yeah, I absolutely love this movie and all the references and jokes it pulls off. I mean, it's inappropriate in some areas, but then again, this one still is a huge part of my childhood, and I absolutely love this film. But the sequels made the tone for Shrek down and didn't get it a lot of hype, but the original is still good in my opinion, but it's kind of... Number 7. Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean is basically a real classic Disney movie. I mean, it's basically a really good pirate film for your kids, and I would personally love... Pirates of the Caribbean 5 is the recent one, and I love that movie as well. But the problem with this and why it's not higher is because does it want to be fun or scary? Because in some scenes, for kids, this movie's pretty horrifying. I mean, yeah, you got the undead skeletons running around, and you know, it's like a zombie apocalypse in some parts. But it's still good, and I would actually recommend it still. Number 6. Finding Nemo. Now, who doesn't love Finding Nemo? Finding Nemo is a really, really good kids movie. I mean, basically, I remember, when I went to the aquarium and saw a clownfish, I said, "Oh, Dad, look, I found Nemo." Those were some good memories, and and this movie, yeah, it's still good, and Finding Dory, it's okay, it's just that I would rather prefer the original more. Number 5. Ratatouille. Now, I love Ratatouille even to this day. It won an Oscar, which is also impressive. And, you know, it's just a really fun concept, just to have a rat wanting to be a cook, when really people hate the things. And, yeah, this movie is really good, and if you still like it, or if you actually do like it, I would recommend it to you and your kid. Number 4. The Lion King. Now, who cannot love The Lion King? This is a really, as the poster says, it is a wonderful Disney masterpiece. I mean, the music and everything about it, and the underall message about it to your kids, about the circle of life. It's a good way to teach your child about death and life. So yeah, I mean, who can't love The Lion King? This movie is great, and of course, I will recommend it to all of you. Number 3. Cars. Now, I mean, Cars is a huge part of my childhood. Cars 2 is feels more like a James Bond movie, but I I didn't get to see Cars 3, but still, I love the franchise, and this is a huge part of my childhood, and I'm pretty sure it's part of your childhood as well. This movie is really good, and yeah, it's basically teaching a rich person to look outside and enjoy basically other people's lives and experience new stuff. Kind of like how you do as a kid sometimes. So yes, I would recommend Cars. Okay, now for number 2, this movie is pretty underrated, but then again, it still makes this list and is a huge part of my childhood. Spirit Stallion. Now this movie, it made it all the way up to the Oscars, but didn't win. But however, this movie still is one of the best DreamWorks animation films that I have ever seen. I mean, the less dialogue basically gives you more beauty and helps you focus on the story. I mean, they say you can't really hear or understand what a horse is saying, but basically you can understand what they're trying to say what they're saying to each other through their body language and sound. That's one of the beauties of this film. And of course, one of the greatest composers, Hans Zimmer, produced the score, which basically is amazing. It still gets it, and basically Frozen nor Titanic has anything against this film, and is it dated? No. In my opinion, no. This is still a good movie, and I would recommend it to your kid and to you. Like, in fact, you don't have to be a kid only to watch this. You can watch it with your girlfriend when you're at home and you want to watch a movie. Watch this movie. It's actually really good. So yeah, but now, let's get to our number 1. Toy Story 3. Now, I know that I had to choose for this one, Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 3. But for me, Toy Story 3 stands out the most. And, of course, as it says on the poster, I do believe it's a really good animated film. In fact, it's basically one of those films that teaches you and your child to move on. Like, you're not always going to have things from your past that you love so much all the time. You gotta move on. And the ending is so dramatic, and it's one of the best movies I've ever seen from Disney and Pixar, and I loved this movie as a little kid. And if you haven't even seen it, I will recommend it to you and your child. So, yeah.